So, Steven Sharif or whatever, this is the guy who everybody's saying that he planned this all along and Ashes was a ripoff. And it's like, it made no sense because if anybody who ever actually got into the beta like we did, or the alpha 2, like we did, you could tell it's not something that's half-assed. Like, they had put a lot of time, effort, money, people with a lot of talent had been working on it. And it was just like, wait, what is going on? Now I know what's going on, and it's kind of like, okay, there's still a chance that the game will revive. Seriously. I'm not kidding when I say that. You followed Ashless closely, so what was the message? Okay, now I will read the whole message, but I am warning you, it is a little lengthy. So if you don't care, maybe go get a drink and a snack right now. So here's what he said. Over the past month, okay, first of all, this was on March 5th. So this was like 2.5 weeks ago that he actually sent this out on Discord. He said, over the past month, many of you have noticed that I have been largely silent. For a community and team that I spoke with almost daily during development, I know that silence has been unusual and difficult. It was not because I had nothing to say, quite the contrary. From the moment this situation began to unfold, I made the decision that the place to defend my team, the company, and the community we built together would not be on Reddit threads, YouTube videos, or social media speculation. It would be in court where the facts matter and where evidence would determine the outcome. Last month, I filed a lawsuit in federal court in San Diego on behalf of Intrepid Studios' shareholders against Intrepid's board of directors led by Chair Rob Dawson and their affiliated entity TFE Games Holdings, LLC. I brought claims for breaches of fiduciary duty, violations of federal and state trade secret laws, and wrongful efforts to seize company assets, including its valuable IP, through an unlawful and manufactured insider foreclosure. My lawsuit is the result of Rob Dawson and his agents trying to dismantle the company I founded and built alongside our community, repurpose Ashes of Creation as a vehicle for their own enrichment, and shift responsibility for Intrepid's collapse onto me through an orchestrated public campaign. For more than a decade, I poured all my resources, including millions of dollars, my health, and my sole focus into creating Intrepid and Ashes of Creation. Despite this, I resigned from Intrepid on January 19th, 2026, because I was unable to prevent the wrongful decisions of the board, especially their plans to summarily fire the employees without their legally entitled pay and leaving them and their families without benefits and health insurance with little to no notice. Now I've been fighting on behalf of our community and team to protect Ashes from these bad actors who gained control of the board, went rogue, and abandoned both the company's mission and their obligations in pursuit of their own interests. Yesterday, we had our first legal victory with the federal judge in San Diego, where Intrepid is based, issuing a temporary restraining order against Dawson and his associates, as the court wrote in their order, quote, defendants Robert Dawson, Ryan Ogden, Teresa Fett, Aaron Bartels, and TFE Games Holdings LLC, collectively the defendants, along with any of their agents, are enjoined from accessing, using, selling, distributing, or causing anyone to access, use, sell, or distribute the trade secrets of Intrepid. End quote. That's from the court document, which he actually attached as well. Temporary restraining order, U.S. State District Court for the Southern District of California, Sharif versus Dawson et al. I'll come back to that later because the judge's comments are very interesting, but let's start with how this all began. It's long, but it's important. You have the facts versus the lies and misinformation that has been spread about me and Intrepid. As alleged in the complaint from 2024, onward, the board deliberately restricted the company's access to operating capital in order to purportedly justify a foreclosure. The foreclosure was designed to shut down Intrepid and transfer Ashes of Creation to a new entity, TFE Game Holdings LLC, affiliated with the board members. Conflict of interest. Sorry. The board did this to enable Dawson and other board members to control and sell the product for their own benefit while cutting out Intrepid's long-term shareholders, lenders, employees, and community. The board also tried to divert revenues owed to Intrepid to the new entity while disregarding clear creditor rights. I alerted the primary lender of this wrongful plan preventing bank fraud. Let me be clear, I have received none of these revenues myself despite lies stating otherwise. The board was also behind the termination of all Intrepid employees without the protections that they were owed, including pay and benefits. I strongly objected to and opposed to these decisions, along with other senior leadership at the studio. On January 19th, 2026, I resigned from the board when it became clear that I could do nothing to prevent the board from its chosen course. I'm now fighting to protect Ashes of Creation from a board that abandoned the company's mission and acted against the interests of its employees, investors, and community. Yesterday in federal court, so this would have been the 4th of this month, in the Southern District of California, intervened and issued a temporary restraining order blocking TFE and the current board from accessing or interfering with the company's assets and critical services. The order preserves Intrepid's assets and prevents further disruption from any of the people that were listed. He names their names and their agents. The court's intervention underscores the seriousness of the issue raised in the complaint and ensures that the company's assets cannot be further harmed, dismantled, or transferred. Judge Lopez wrote in the order granting temporary restraining order, quote, by showing that TFE acquired the trade secrets materials through an unlawful Article 9 foreclosure, plaintiff has shown misappropriation through wrongful acquisition. Unfortunately, the damage caused by the board's actions has already been severe. A company that had spent more than a decade building a game and a community was abruptly shut down, employees were terminated without pay or benefits, and years of work were thrown into uncertainty. The impact on the people who dedicated their careers to this project and on the players who supported it cannot be overstated. That's absolutely true. 100%. I mean, we'd already lost so much faith in gaming studios, and everyone kept saying, oh, Ashes is also going to be a ripoff, blah, blah, blah. And we're just like, but it makes no sense. It doesn't follow any of the normal, like, telltale signs of that. Yeah, I'm still upset with him too. He did act like there was no board. But at the same time, I don't know at what point there was a board. I don't know when the board showed up. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, here, just to continue the rest of his message. I'm now fully committed to holding the individuals responsible for this tragedy accountable and preventing any further harm to the company or its assets and making the team and the players whole. What was done to our community and to the team who poured their blood, sweat, tears into making Ashes was unconscionable. I recognize something else that has been difficult for many of us to watch over the past month. Ashes of Creation has always had skeptics and critics. That comes with attempting something ambitious in a space as challenging as MMORPG. But the past several weeks have felt like a victory lap for many of those skeptics, people celebrating what they believe is the end of a project they doubted from the beginning. What makes that narrative especially frustrating is that the project itself was demonstrating real momentum, real value. As outlined in the complaint, this is precisely why Dawson and the board took actions to steal the main asset, Ashes of Creation, from Intrepid. When Ashes launched early access in December 2025, the response from players dramatically exceeded expectations. The game generated nearly $9 million in gross sales, reaching roughly 300,000 monthly active players, and had approximately 400,000 additional players on the wish list and millions of registered accounts. Most importantly, the game achieved an approximate 76% peak concurrent user retention rate in a 30-day period, a statistic that is extraordinarily rare in the MMORPG genre, particularly for an early access environment. Both before and after the unnecessary and unlawful shutdown, in furtherance of their plan to steal Ashes and discredit me, Dawson and related individuals began working to shift responsibility for these decisions onto me. The misinformation and false narratives being circulated by the board and proxies like Jason Karamanis must be answered with the facts. I categorically deny accusations suggesting that I mismanaged company funds, caused the company's shutdown, or engaged in any misconduct. Those claims attempt to rewrite the events that actually occurred and divert attention away from the decisions the board and its cronies made. The truth is that I refused to participate in actions I believed were unlawful and destructive to the company, its investors, its employees, and its future. Since the shutdown, I have been fighting hard as hard as I possibly can in court to show that the board's actions were wrongful and to fight for the rights and interests of developers, shareholders, and the player community. There's also been significant speculation online about how Ashes of Creation was financed. From the beginning, I said that I was personally financing the project, and that statement is accurate. Much of the capital provided to the company came through lenders who extended financing to me by personal guarantees and collateralization of my own assets and equity. The risk was mine personally. If the project failed, those obligations did not disappear. They were my responsibility. I put my own financial future on the line to build this project and keep it alive for as long as possible. As this case progresses, the broader backgrounds and histories of the individuals involved on the board and their prior litigation history will also come under scrutiny. Some of the people responsible for these decisions have previously been involved in other legal disputes describing similar tactics and conflicts as the one they created here with Ashes. Those records will become part of the broader story of how this situation unfolded and how the board approached its efforts to take control of the company and the game. The court filings on the record now are only the beginning of the information that will emerge in this case. Internal communications, board records, financial documentation, and other materials will be an issue as the litigation progresses. Those records will provide a far more complete picture of the decisions made, who made them, and how the events leading to the shutdown of Intrepid actually unfolded. As the court put in their order yesterday, quote, the court finds the balance of hardships tips sharply towards the plaintiff, towards Sharif. Filing this case in federal court was not a step I took lightly, but it ultimately became the only path left to bring the facts to the open and seek accountability for those for what has happened against the responsible people. The court's initial order preserving the IP underscores the seriousness of the issues involved. What has been most painful to watch is the attempt to rewrite the story of this project while the people who actually dreamed it, worked for it, built it have been pushed aside, in my case, threatened, defamed, and unfairly blamed. Ashes of Creation was never just a corporate asset to flip. It was 10 years of work by hundreds of developers and the belief of a community that helped bring it to life. What happens next will ultimately be decided in court, but I will not allow the work of hundreds of developers and the belief of millions of players to be erased by a small group of individuals who attempted to take control of something they did not create. As we started to see in San Diego federal court yesterday, those responsible will face real accountability. Sincerely, Steven Sharif. And then he also linked the PDF of the court documents. Pretty interesting shit, dude. I seriously was like, we're never going to see Ashes. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought we're just not going to see Ashes. And I think most of us did as soon as that happened. But I think there's still a chance. And supposedly the servers are up sometimes still. According to people that are in that Discord, sometimes it's still up and they just hop in. I haven't tried, but yeah. The people who quote own it now, they can't do anything with it. So it's just sitting there. You know what I mean? So it's just sitting there. It's like kind of in a weird limbo state. But yeah, no, it would be really good if it ended up getting revived and the lawsuits end up bringing to light some assholes. How many games have you guys seen that the creators are like, we're not going to have microtransactions, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, and they seem sincere. Like, I'm serious. Like, there's no micro expressions giving away that they're lying. They genuinely seem like that's what they want, that's their hope, that's their dream. And then somehow at some point some company buys them out, and then boom, now it's microtransaction city. And if that's what these people have been doing over and over again, and it comes to light, it might bring light to some other games where we've seen that happen. Anything EA. You guys are so funny. Anything EA. Yeah, we're not going to have any microtransactions. Bam! Microtransactions out the ass. If the companies that got control of the game, the original concept of Ashes is that... No, Barnaware. Did you not hear the whole message? Did you not hear the whole message? Yeah, you're welcome, Crab Macaw. Yeah, when I saw it, I was just like... It was very lengthy, but it was... To me, it was... I don't know. It was hope. It was a little glimmer of hope that the game might still come out. Because if the courts have already ordered that they're not allowed to do anything with it right now. They have to wait until everything's over. So they've been frozen for the assets. They've been frozen for literally all of the intellectual properties of it, everything. So they're not allowed to do anything with it right now until all the court stuff's done. So, yeah. Yeah, a bit of good news. Definitely better than nothing, right? Up until then, it's like all we knew is that people got fired. But from what he's saying, and if he can provide proof that they were planning to do the firing and all that shit the way it went down before he even stepped down, he just didn't want to be part of it because they were going to do it anyway. That is definitely a whole other can of worms everywhere, you know?